Today's session is on Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, that is RCEP. RCEP is a free trade agreement that will create the world's largest trading bloc. RCEP is a huge trade treaty. With India, it comprises about half of the world's population. RCEP was introduced during the 19th ASEAN meeting in November 2011, and its negotiations were launched at the ASEAN summit in November 2012 in Cambodia. Negotiations to chart out the details of this deal have been going on since 2013, and all participating countries sought to finalize it by November 2019. There are 16 member countries involved in RCEP, which comprises 10 ASEAN member countries: Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam, plus 6 other countries, namely Australia, China, India, Japan, Korea, and New Zealand. As China battles the US for influence and economic supremacy in the Asia Pacific region, the RCEP would have become the world's largest free trade area after finalization. The 16 member countries seek to create an integrated market. Objective of RCEP are to achieve modern, comprehensive, high quality and mutually beneficial economic partnership agreement among the ASEAN member states and ASEAN's FTA partners. In essence, it makes commitment on all market access on goods, services and investment. 15 of the 16 RCEP participating countries announced conclusion of all 20 chapters of the RCEP agreement. However, India opted out of RCEP in November 2019. Why India chose to opt out? That is a $1 million question. India could see RCEP would result in her market getting swamped by imports, putting its domestic industry and agriculture at risk. Instead of increasing India's export to regional market, it could increase imports into India because of the following reason. One, it has inadequate protection against surges in the imports. Therefore, India demands putting in place the auto-trigger mechanism so as to enable it to raise tariff on products in instances where imports cross a predetermined threshold. India seeks more market access and its concerns relating to non-tariff barrier, that is NTBs. China produces a large number of cheap products, albeit of low quality. The low prices of its product is too low, which outstrip the disadvantage of low quality. Apprehension of China's tendency to flood Indian market, which has potential to hit Indian domestic industry. China has a major advantage of its cheap labor as there are no labor laws and infringement of human rights. China uses non-tariff barrier under the disguise of Chinese security national integration. This will restrict market access to India. China has demonstrated a number of times that it does not allow real partnership nor respect equality. RCEP members' unwillingness to commit on market access for service professionals including engineers, doctors, journalists, IT workers and also skilled labor. In his speech at the RCEP summit in Bangkok, the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi said, India has been proactively, constructively and meaningfully engaged in the RCEP negotiations since inception. The draft RCEP agreement did not fully reflect the basic spirit and the agreed guiding principles of RCEP, even as it did not address satisfactorily India's outstanding issues and concerns. He added, when I measure RCEP agreement with respect to interests of all Indians, I do not get a positive answer. Therefore, neither the talisman of Gandhiji nor my own conscience permits me to join RCEP. The RCEP participating country made a joint statement that they will work together to resolve these outstanding issues in a mutually satisfactory manner. India already has successful bilateral FTA and economic relations with several ASEAN countries in any case. What are the possible disadvantages of India's strategy not to join RCEP? India's decision not to join the RCEP, the region's flagship free trade agreement, could potentially complicate the country's future engagement in the region. If India's economic engagement with the region were insufficient, which are at least partly due to domestic political consideration, our strategic and military engagement in the region also fall short. China's military reach, for instance, is way ahead of India. China is a major defense supplier to several countries in our neighborhood. including Bangladesh, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand, dwarfing India's minimal sales defense dialogues and occasional joint military exercise in the region. At the time of escalating Sino-US trade tension, China was particularly keen to see a successful conclusion of RCEP summit and had been vigorously pushing for that. But that is precisely where the problem for India lay as well. The China factor and her trust deficit therefore was key to India's assessment of cost and benefit. Implicitly, India declared that no cost is large enough when it comes to the sovereignty of the nation. Large trade deficit. While India runs large trade deficit with at least 11 of the 15 RCEP member countries, China alone accounts for 53 billion US dollar of India's 105 billion US dollars trade deficit. Given China's needs for greater access to Indian market to sustain its manufacturing industries, India was keen to protect its industry and farmers from a surge of Chinese import. China's experience with FTA has been underwhelming, with the Niti Aayog suggesting that FTA utilization, which is in the range of 5% to 25%, was just meager. Domestically, the RCEP generated considerable opposition with major stakeholders coming out against it, be it farmer, dairy industry, or the corporate sector. Difficulty in the Indian economic landscape further compounded the problem when the main opposition party in India too opposed the proposed deal. If global negotiations are a two-level game, both the levels were facing severe challenge, making this rejection a veritable necessity. Without India, however, the RCEP does not look as attractive a trade pact as it had seemed during negotiation. Therefore, there were divisions within the ASEAN on moving ahead without India. ASEAN has always been keen on a diversified portfolio of partners so that its member states can leverage their centrality in their dealing with the major powers and maintain their strategic autonomy. While China's clout has been growing in the region, ASEAN member states have tried to keep the US engaged in the region as well. But with the US administration giving mixed signal about Washington's commitment towards the region, ASEAN has been looking at India with a renewed sense of anticipation. India's proactive outreach in the region in the form of Act East policy has been well received. Anxious about China's increasingly overweening economic and security presence in the region, ASEAN member states have been keen on substantive Indian involvement in the region. India's decision to keep away from the RCEP will hence certainly cause concerns about its larger game plan vis-à-vis the region. Beijing's dominance. For China, this looks like a win at a time when US administration is pushing Asia into making a choice in its favor by resisting temptation of walking into the Chinese honey trap on infrastructure and technology. Both geopolitically and geoeconomically, China now looks set to dominate the Indo-Pacific, which may not be a good news for the region and India. This is the reason why Japan was suggesting that it would work towards a deal which includes India. Japanese Trade Minister made it clear that Tokyo wants to play a leading role towards reaching an early agreement between all 16 countries, including India, with the aim of signing it in 2020 itself. ASEAN Sojourn 2019 will be remembered for India finally rejecting the RCEP mega trade deal. In rejecting RCEP, India has signaled that despite the cost, China has to be tackled both politically and economically. How the rest of East and Southeast Asia respond to India's move will determine the future balance of power in the Indo-Pacific.